If you scare easily, swipe on. In 1989, a woman started hearing strange banging sounds in her walls and in the ceiling, and then one night, the crawl space to her attic was open, so she went to go have a look. When she's just feet away, an old man suddenly appears in the crawl space and looks her dead in the eye before vanishing. There was nobody else in the house. Worried no one's going to take her seriously over an apparent ghost in her house, she ends up calling a paranormal investigator. When the paranormal crew arrived, they were actually very skeptical until they heard loud banging in the attic and they decided to go up and have a look. As soon as the two men get up into the attic, one of them screams and suddenly disappears. The other, who didn't have a flashlight, starts using the flash on his camera to illuminate the attic. And he takes one of the most famous pictures in paranormal history. His partner, who was in total shock, had been lifted off the ground and tied to one of the beams. That was the last night the woman ever stayed in the house. However, it's still being rented out today, but nobody stays longer than 1 or 2 months.
The dogs are ready for bed. It's just a peaceful night here. Get ready to go to bed myself. What the fuck is that? What? Oh, God! Fuck!
Whether you believe this video is real or not, it is undeniably scary. In 2003, guests at a hotel started calling the front desk about a screaming woman on the second floor, so the security guard went to go have a look. As he's making his way upstairs, the dispatcher tells him it's room 209 and no one's checked into that room. When he gets outside room 209, he hears it too. Take a listen.
Says he hears the screaming coming from that room, and I hear it too. But we're sure that no one's checked into that room, correct?
The security guard is visibly shaken, but finally musters the courage to go into the room to investigate, only to come out seconds later with a terrifying report.
Don wants you to call the police right now if you don't mind. He says no one's in there, but that all of the furniture's been turned upside down.
No one knows what happened in room 209, and despite numerous investigations, no one's debunked this footage. Over the years, the hotel has had dozens of noise complaints from that room.
Okay, I'm literally at work right now. I'm alone. That's my car. There is not one other car in the parking lot. Look, the freaking light's flickering from the reflection in the window. I don't know what's going on. I'm here alone, and this is what I deal with that I usually don't catch on camera. This is the light switch. Ready? This? Oh, I think I stopped it. Did I stop it? No, I didn't. I didn't stop it. I don't know what's going on, and this makes absolutely no sense. And now it stopped. Good. And ready? Here we go. Because that makes sense, right? This is what I deal with, and no one understands. And of course I'm here alone, and this is like a friggin' murder house. This is my security cameras. There's no one here, so I don't understand. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Hello?
Scary facts you wish you didn't know. Since 1948, 90 commercial airliners have disappeared without leaving any evidence to what happened to them. A girl was scalped on an amusement park ride in Nebraska. Her hair got caught in the machinery and it got pulled out along with some of her skin. In 1912, a French orphanage gave out babies as a prize. A home for the abandoned decided to raffle off babies to try to raise funds. While many people take medications to cope with feelings of despair, certain types of antidepressants have been known to eliminate someone's ability to feel love and compassion.
Most Evilest Children Part 1. Mary Bell. Mary Bell was born from a 17-year-old sex worker in England. Throughout this little girl's childhood, she was always abused. From her own mother and from her mother's clients. That's when she decided to take her anger out on other people. The day before her 11th birthday, she took this little boy into an abandoned house and strangled him. His name was Martin Brown. Her and her friend Norma Brown even went to a nursery home and trashed it, but the cops let it go because they thought it was a sick prank. Then they took this little boy named Brian Howe by the nursery and also strangled him. Mary did unspeakable things to his body. She was then convicted of manslaughter and deemed a psychopath. She was locked up for 12 years but then got released in 1980 at the age of 23. She was then given a brand new identity to avoid the spotlight. So now she's free to do whatever she wants. She could even be your neighbor and you would never even know. Like this video for a part 2 of Evilest Children. This story will ruin your trust in people. The Real Haunted Hotel. In 1896, H.H. Holmes bought a whole lot of property on one block and fused them all together to become one hotel. He hired different workers to work on different parts of the hotel, so none of them knew the full layout of the whole hotel. The hotel opened just in time for the Chicago World Fair in 1993, where people all over the world came over to visit. But this wasn't no normal hotel. It was a torture chamber in every room. For most of that year, he trapped people. He had gas chambers, starvation rooms, and torture rooms. He designed the whole house to be one big maze so they couldn't escape. He would like to play with people and give them a false sense of hope, so he would make stairs that led to nowhere. When they thought they were escaping, they would go down the stairs and literally hit a blank wall. Once the victims passed away, he would hide them by dumping them into a furnace chamber. He's now known as one of America's first serial killers. Give this video a like if you want more scary stories.
Sleepovers. You tell someone a story about how their body is filled with sand and their body feels a lot heavier. This game can also be known as sandbags. To play the game, you need at least 2 people and it only takes 3 easy steps. Step 1. One person lies on the floor while everyone else sits in a circle around them. Step 2. You tell that person to close their eyes and relax. Then, you tell a scary story about how that person was murdered and then their body filled with sand. You can make up your own story and have it be as elaborate and scary as you want. Tell the person to only concentrate on the story. Whenever you talk about a certain body part in your story, such as the arm, leg, or stomach, lightly rub your finger against that body part. Step 3. Tell that person to open their eyes and get up. When they stand up, their body will feel heavy as if filled with sand.
This is why you should never take walks alone at night. In 2007, a girl was on a late night walk when she looked at the end of the road and saw the silhouette of a man moving around very strangely. It was like he was doing the waltz, but he was moving towards her, so she was sketched out, crossed the road, and went the other way. After a couple minutes, she turned around to see what he was doing, and he was right across the street from her, now staring up into the sky with a huge grin on his face. Now totally creeped out, she turns around and walks about a half block before checking again, and to her horror, he's now crouched down right behind her. But luckily, he stands up, turns around, and kind of hobbles away, and then she notices something. The man had turned around and was now sprinting directly towards her. She runs to safety and now just hopes she never has to see that smiling man again.
All right, so I'm just gonna record the bunny. What, Daisy? What are you doing? And see if we can catch any EVPs or anything and hear something. Because usually, if I ask to knock or something, I might be able to get something. Daisy, stop. So keep your ears open and let's listen while watching the bunny. All right, so we got Daisy sitting right here. All right, bunny, spirit in my house. What is your name? Can you knock? Can you... Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Urban legends that will haunt you. The legend of Bloody Mary. Sometimes the evil spirit is known as Mary Worth, Hail Mary, Mary Jane, or Mary White. But is there any truth to this story? In some versions of the story, the ghost murders anyone who summons her, but in others, she just scares the wits out of them. But legend says that Mary Worth lived a long time ago and she was a beautiful, young girl. But one night she had a horrible accident that left her face completely disfigured to where no one would even look at her. After the accident, she was not even allowed to look at her own reflection for fear that she would lose her mind. However, one night after everyone went to bed, her curiosity got the best of her and she snuck in to look in a mirror. As soon as she saw her face, she broke down into sobs and screams. She was so heartbroken and wanted her old reflection back that she walked into the mirror to find it, vowing to disfigure anybody that went looking for her in the mirror. Urban legends to haunt you. The killer in the window. A girl was home alone watching TV all night. The television was right behind a sliding glass door and the blinds were open. Suddenly, she saw a wrinkled old man staring at her through the glass. She screamed and grabbed the phone next to the couch and pulled the blanket over her head so that way the man couldn't see her as she dialed 911. She was so terrified that she remained under the blanket until the police came. It had snowed a lot during the day, so naturally the police decided to look for footprints, but they couldn't find any. Puzzled, the police went back inside the house, and that's when they saw wet footprints on the floor leading up to the couch where the girl was sitting. The policemen looked at each other nervously and said, "Miss, you're extremely lucky." She asked why, and the policeman said, "Because the man wasn't outside after all. He was in here, standing right behind you while you were on the couch."
This is why you should never explore the forest at night. Late at night in 2006, two men hear some strange noises coming from a forest near their house, so they decide to go have a look. After their footage went completely viral, they would admit that they actually only went into the woods just to scare themselves. They didn't actually expect to film anything. At some point on their walk, they start to notice more and more dead birds on the ground, and so one of them gets out his camera to start filming them. As they're filming the birds, you can tell that they're getting more and more spooked by the whole situation, and then one of the men hears something in the tree line, and the cameraman pans his camera to look. Human eyes don't reflect light.